Welcome to the Take a Listing Today podcast, where our hosts Jim Studebaker and Todd Robertson give you strategies to get you out of the office right now so you can take a new listing today. And now, here's Jim and Todd.
Whoa! Hello! Look at that. We are back once again, the Take a Listing Today podcast. Don't forget to visit our website, takealistingtoday.com, to learn about our upcoming shows and to join us live on a future podcast where you might win some great prizes. Speaking of a great prize, we have somebody on the line with us today, but before we meet her, as always, here's Todd Robertson.
Hey.
And over in the corner, Lisa Gray, the producer. Yes, we are so happy to have her online with us, as well as our special guest today, because we have something kind of cool here. It's our Agent Domination series, and we are going to interview some great agents who are out there dominating in their marketplace. And today we have with us Christine Stilley from Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello, Christine. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, it is a pleasure. How is everything up in Raleigh? Is everything going well for you?
Everything is going tremendously well in spite of COVID, in spite of Corona trying to put us down. We are still booming.
And you know what? That's part of what inspired when you and I spoke a few weeks ago. I liked your mindset. I loved what you're doing in terms of getting back out, stirring things up. You're doing things that most agents don't do, which is why we wanted you on the show, because there could be 30, 50, 800 agents listening that some of your advice or some of your knowledge or some of your mindset can spill off into them, which we need to happen, correct?
Yes. Absolutely. And if they have clients that they can't service, they're welcome to send them to me. I'll take care of them.
That is very kind. We'll be sure to ask about your contact information here towards the...
I love it.
The end of our show. So Christine, you were picked out because you're dominating in your market. What are you doing that makes you stand out from all the other agents in your area?
Well, number one, I pick up the phone when it rings. It is remarkable to me how many agents aren't doing that. You're not picking up the phone. You're not returning emails or texts. I think every single client that I have worked with will tell you that they are my only client. They really believe that in their hearts. Wow. They're treated that way. I'm very customer focused. I'm very customer centric. I keep them happy. Part of that is getting to know them and figuring out what makes them tick, what they're looking for, what their needs are, and then meeting those needs. It really is a very simple formula.
And you know what I like about what you just said, although most people know that and most people go in with that intent, but once they get a deal or two under contract, they get scared and they're like, okay, let the title people handle it. I got to go prospect. So they do abandon their clients. Most agents out there, right? Because they're going on to the next deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you have to be proactive, and you have to think what's going to come 2 months down the road, 6 months down the road. You have to have some forethought and some foresight. One of the things that I do is I kind of treat my company like it's a marketing company and not like it's a real estate company. My job is to market myself, market my business, and market what I can do for you and how I can help you and bring value to whatever transaction you're trying to do, whether you're buying, selling, or investing. I've got you covered. So it's learning your market, figuring out where all the niches are going to be, and then where you want to fit into that, and then just go do it. Just put on your big girl panties and go do it.
That might tie into my next question, which is, what is the best piece of real estate advice you've ever had? Was it that, or was it something else?
I think probably the best piece of real estate advice I ever got was learn as much as you can about your market. We are in Clayton, North Carolina, which is a suburb of the capital city of Raleigh. So we have a lot of folks that are moving here from other areas of the country to go to work at our Research Triangle Park. And we actually have the biopharmaceutical crescent here in my county outside of Raleigh, where we have a lot of folks coming in who work at these biopharmaceutical companies. So we have people coming in sometimes from all over the world, definitely all over the country and all over the state, and even folks who are local who are just moving out of the city into suburbs. So there's a supply that we cannot meet. Our inventory cannot meet the demand that our buyers are requesting right now. So that's good for sellers. That's great for sellers. Know your market. Get in front of those sellers and explain to them how this is going to benefit them, how this can be a seller's market, how we can get into bidding wars, how multiple offers is going to work in their favor. And just be nice, but know what you're talking about before you walk in that door.
That's huge right there. I like what you just said. I put that in my book last year because I think a person's confidence, if you look at prospecting, presentation, and close, right? The 3 elements that a realtor has to do. And we've talked about it as a company for years that the number one reason agents fail is prospecting. But once we started digging deeper, Christine, as you know, we started digging deeper, go, okay, why don't they have the confidence to go out and do that? Well, it's what you just said. Make sure that you know your game so good to where you have a relaxed sense of confidence dealing with that buyer, dealing with that seller, and that will get you out excited about prospecting because you realize if you don't get to them, a lesser agent will, correct?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I don't want that to happen to any of my people. And once you start working with me, you are my people. You are my family. And I treat you that way. And so
Awesome.
I don't want you to ever, number one, get wrong information. My biggest fear in my business is costing someone money. I don't ever want to be the cause of someone losing a home that they want or losing any money on a deal, whether it's a buy, a sell, or an invest. That's my biggest fear. So I make sure that I am armed with the most current information, the most up-to-date information. The brokers where I hang my license is really good about disseminating information to us. But I attend the economic development forums. I attend the Chamber of Commerce meetings. I attend the Home Builders Association meetings. I make sure that I'm front and center and I'm educated, and that way I can pass those tidbits and that information and education on to my clients and customers.
Nice. So you are out there, and by knowing the stats, that's so important. So that way you can say, I'm the neighborhood expert, and you can rattle off some statistics as far as home sales and prices and turnover rates and things like that when people ask you, versus having to say, well, let me look that up for you and I'll call you back later. So that really gives you a sense of confidence that you then give to your buyers or sellers that you're working with.
Exactly. I mean, if someone asks you, so how's the market doing today? And your answer is, oh, it's good, it's fine. Well, that's really a non-answer. They're not asking you how's the market doing today as in how's the weather. They really want an answer. You need to be prepared with that answer, and you better make sure it's right.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you, Christine, if you could go back to the first 6 months of when you started in real estate, what would you say, knowing what you know now? What would you say to yourself back when you were starting that would have helped you propel your career just a little bit faster? Can you think of something?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I've only been licensed for 7 months.
Okay,
So
good. So if you went back 7 weeks, the first 7 weeks.
However, Christine, share with the group what you've done in 7 months, what you and I talked about a few weeks
Oh, my
ago.
goodness.
That's going to inspire
Absolutely.
people listening right now because people think, oh, that's not doable. You can't do that. And they become a victim of news, and then they're playing a bad record in their mind, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So when I got into real estate, it was October 30th, 2019. I hung my license with the brokerage went active. I spent the year leading up to that doing homework, listening to podcasts, reading, taking classes, learning everything I could about real estate in general, going over contracts. Like, I can explain a contract to you backwards, forwards, upside down. Like, I know them like the back of my hand. I'm armed with information.
Wow.
So I spent the year getting licensed, preceding licensing, getting prepared for getting my license. And then I spent the first 3 months of my licensure, which would have been November, December, and January, which are the holidays, not big months. But I did open houses, multiple open houses for any agent that would allow me to hold one at their listing. And I met as many people as I could, and I developed my team. I met with home inspectors, I met with remodelers, I met with closing attorneys, and I interviewed them like I was building a business. And I didn't want you to represent me unless you really represented me. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I took that very seriously, and I built a team around me that I knew I could help, but I also knew could help me. And I have gotten referrals. I've done a ton of business. I'm $1 million producer already with my company. I fully expect to be in the top producing agents, maybe even rookie of the year this year, crossing my fingers.
I would hope so. Yes.
Yeah, not a maybe.
Yeah,
I think you've already won that, and it's only June.
And you picked a really bad time to get into real estate with the whole virus thing coming out here earlier this year, and now you have to deal with that.
It's never a bad time to get into real estate if you take it seriously and you treat it like a business. Business doesn't stop because people are at home. If anything, it actually increases people's desire to get out of their home and into something new. So even though the listings may back off just a little bit, the buyers are still there. So instead of focusing on listing, which is what every agent wants to do, focus on buyers for a couple months. It'll pay off because those buyers oftentimes have property to sell, but more often than not, they know people who are selling. So just increase. And whenever I have an open house for my own listings or other agents' listings, I cold call the entire neighborhood and I invite the neighbors over. And I can't tell you how many leads I've taken and how many clients I'm currently working with that we're listing their house in that same neighborhood. And the only reason they called me to do that was because I cold called them and invited them to my open house 2 blocks away. So it works. If you work it, it works.
Exactly. And you just reminded me of something we do every single year, and we see it every year. It just happens around November, December, right? Even with this stuff going on, like you talked about, people are still buying and selling. They say even on Easter, even on Thanksgiving, right, those 4 days off, even around the holidays, a lot of agents have an excuse in their mind to say, ooh, I'm going to let up the throttle a little bit. I don't want to bother it. But they say people are buying and selling real estate every single day of every year, correct? So if an agent ramped their prospecting up in November, December, well, we know 90% of your competition or 80% have gone to sleep.
You're exactly right. And while the competition's sleeping, the winners are out there taking all the business.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it. Everybody else wanted to take off November and December for the holidays. I was a brand new agent. I had no idea which way was up, but I was going to swim for the sunlight. So that's what I did. I took every opportunity. Oh, you don't want to do an open house because it's Black Friday? I'll do your open house. You don't want to do an open house because it's 2 days before Christmas? I'll do your open house. And I will take all those contacts and I will put them in my database and I will reach out to them on a weekly basis until they basically tell me to go away. Until you say, please leave me alone, don't ever call me again.
Right.
I'm going to touch you every single week until we sign a contract on something.
Right.
Very smart. I was completely wrong. You got in at the right time because that's when all the other agents are going to sleep and going part-time November and December. So very smart.
It's about tenacity. If you're tenacious and you have a goal, write your goal down. Know what your goal is. Put words to it, and then put action behind that. And be tenacious about obtaining it, and you will obtain it.
Wonderful. Well, you've given us a lot of great ideas, Christine. If you could narrow it down to just one item, one piece of advice that you could give to a brand new agent, or an experienced agent who's maybe not doing too well, so they could have their own $1 million year, what would you say that piece of advice would be?
Right, like somebody that needs to get refired up that might have lost their momentum, or maybe they're stuck with everything going on in the news, right? So what would you give them to say, wait a minute, let's let that go. Boom, it's showtime. Let's go prospect and go take over the real estate world.
You know what, Todd? I would say exactly that. Boom, it's showtime. Let's prospect and go take over the world. That's exactly what I would say. I'm actually going to put that on a T-shirt
Are you?
today.
Hey, send me one. Hey, well, make 4 of them. Send the 3 of us one, too. So you get one and we...
Boom, let's take over.
That's actually a good...
Yeah, I have been saying since day one, I mean, literally since my first day of free license, I have been saying, I'm not building a real estate business, I'm building an empire.
Wow.
And so that's what I want to do. I want to build an empire. I want my name to be the only name that anybody in my county or the surrounding counties utters when they think about selling their house.
Incredible.
That is awesome. Great mindset.
You're
good.
You're my new religion, Christine. I'm going to worship at your altar.
This is where the Church of Christine starts.
She's been so good. Should we give her a chance to win something? She's been so great and fun.
Well, I feel like we ought to give it to her, but that's against the rules. So we're not going to give you the great prizes here. You've got to play the game like everybody. Christine, thank you very much. And when we get done with this, because we like to give away stuff.
Yes. How do
if
they?
you would like to share how people can get a hold of you, if you probably take referrals, right? If somebody wants to.
Absolutely. I would love a referral. So I do the Piedmont region of North Carolina mainly, from Raleigh to the coast. My website is isellthetriangle, SELL, isellthetriangle.com. You can reach me there. You can give me a call or a text, 919-907-2060, or hit me up on Facebook, Christine Stilley.
Awesome. I think based on what you've just said, and for those agents listening and watching, they realize once they send a referral to you that if it can get to the finish line, you're the agent that will get it to the finish line. It's not a maybe, it's not let's see. As long as they're qualified and motivated, boom, I think that will happen.
Christine,
it will happen.
I'm going to put your contact information in the show notes, so anybody that's listening through the podcast on iTunes, wherever will find it, or on our YouTube channel, your information will be right there.
And see, I said I was going to ask for it after the show, and you've got some tenacity here. You just spit it all out there, so it's out there. No, great. Well, awesome. Christine, we have a very serious question for you here.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Yep, get ready.
If you can answer this, we have some great things for you. Christine, here's your question.
I'm ready. Let's go.
What is the most common non-contagious disease in the world? Oh, easy one for you there.
Oh.
Non-contagious?
Yes.
Most common? This is like a serious question.
There's gift cards, a lot of money on the line, a bunch of books.
This is a serious show. Of course it's serious.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. She wants to win, right?
The most serious non-contagious disease or condition?
The serious is not in the question, actually. You put that in there.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The most common non-contagious disease in the world.
I don't know.
The music's going to run out here pretty soon.
She might need the buzzer and a new question.
Are you passing?
Yeah, is there another question?
Are you using
it raining?
No, sorry.
Her pass. She's using her pass.
Oh. You would have enjoyed the books and the gift card. It would have been so incredible. It would have helped you with your marketing and done incredible things. But you know what? Jim's in a good mood today. We might have another question.
By the way, the answer was tooth decay.
I would not have known that. Would you, Lisa?
No.
Tooth decay.
I had a lot.
Who comes up with this?
I didn't.
Fire that person.
Like this stuff.
Right.
Lisa, can we get a new writer, please?
Yes, I'll work on that.
Okay.
Here's your real question.
We don't normally give people two chances here.
This is the real one. That one was just a warm-up. I'm ready.
She's ready.
All right, next chance. How many legs do butterflies have?
Oh.
I mean, there aren't that many options, right? So.
Well, I mean, there are. They could have 2, they could have 6, they could have 8, but they're not an arachnid, I don't think. So they wouldn't have 8. I'm going to go with 6, 4, maybe 2.
Can we?
I like it. I like her style. She covered everything.
2, 4, 6.
Lisa, can we take any of those answers?
Yes.
Okay, then you win. Congratulations. Good job.
And the real answer was?
Nice. The real answer is 6.
Oh.
But if the butterfly got in a fight or something, then he might only have 2.
Correct.
So there you go.
She's thinking about when he's a caterpillar. So
What does Christine win?
Right, could be. Okay, Christine, you won some wonderful things here. Look at that. A $25 gift card to Prospects Plus. You'll love that.
Yes.
And we have, unless you already have it, Todd Robertson's latest book, Become a Listing Legend.
You know, I do have it, but if Todd would sign that and send it to me, I would put it in a prominent place in my office.
All right.
Sign that book there, will
We
you?
will do that for you. Deal. And we'll have it sent out.
All right.
You've been a lot of fun. Thank you for being on our show. You've been outstanding.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
All right. Thank you. You too, Christine. Thank you very much. And Lisa, do we have anything else?
No.
Oh, that music's still going. How about that?
Nope. We're all set.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you, Christine.
Well, that is our show today. The first in our Agent Domination series, which we will have many more for you. And remember that today's podcast is brought to you by Prospects Plus, and they feature one of the great products that we kind of talked about today. If you want to dominate things, the Market Dominator. So go to the website, prospectsplus.com. Search for Market Dominator. You can learn all about that.
Click on products, scroll down, you'll see it right there.
It's right there. Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next week for another great podcast. See you later.
Bye-bye. Stay powerful.